We are live. Kavya, we are live.
Charlie.
Kavya?
Can you see me? I don't know why it's... Okay. This is weird.
We can hear you, Kavya. Go on.
I don't know my... just a sec. Yes. All right. So namaste and good morning, everyone. And a warm welcome to all of you to the Education Innovation Conclave and Awards 2020. I believe that the year 2020, we've seen how individuals and businesses managed to pivot to completely a different arena altogether in order to cater to the new norm for that matter. And we've seen that especially in the education sector. As we all know that EdTech is poised for some amazing amount of profitability, but most importantly, and we're going to see that and hear that from our stalwart speakers, our thought leaders joining us in a short while. So yes, on one side, we have our thought leaders who will be sharing their insights, but then on the other hand, we'll also be having the awards wherein we will be honoring the set of thought leaders, the inspiring leaders, the cool ideas, all of that have come together for all of us to witness a very different 2020 altogether. Now, before we get started, I'm also going to take a minute to also thank our partners for their valuable support. First up, our co-associate partner, V2 Cypher. As we all know, this event is organized by Entrepreneur, our smart learning partner, Flip Learn, technology partner, Globus Infocom Limited, our media partners, India Sham Tak, daily evening newspaper, and media partner, of course, EduShah. So yes, we hope all of our guests, all our delegates, everybody's all set to be a part of a very, very fulfilling show over here. We know that technology is changing the job market. We know that technology is unifying us all. So let's come together to be a part of this very innovative education, innovation, conclave, and awards. On that note, I also request all our members of the audience who have joined us here. We do hope you have the latest Google Chrome so that you can have experience, considering it's all virtual, but the conversations will be real. So with that, let's get the program started as well. And it's now time to set the tone for this very extensive and very, very engaging conference that we have in store for all of you. And it's truly my delight to invite the dynamic entrepreneur herself. She's the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Media and Asia Pacific. We have with us RituMarya. So with that, Ritu, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Kavya, and a very good morning to all of you who've joined us here on 6Connex today for the Education Innovation Conclave and Awards that is being held by the Entrepreneur Media, as we appreciate and recognize how technology and education has changed things, particularly in 2020 more so, and setting a tone for what would be the future of education and future of learning, future of working in the times to come. So to begin with, I would say that the pandemic and the National Education Policy 2020 has together brought far-reaching changes in the entire education sector. And probably, I think when we look back in 2025, we'll find that 2020 was the landmark year when history was rewritten for the entire education industry. While right now it's looking very painful, things have to be changed very quickly, sometimes not in the best structured manner. But I think going forward, we will only find that things changed for the better and they improved and in this watershed moment more than it ever would in the history of the education sector. So what the pandemic has really done is that it has brought a major learning curve for everybody in the education industry, whether it was the students who were the takers of the education, or parents who were the instigators of it, or educators who were the providers. And as they have all sort of come together to help in this entire moment of moving the education industry online. But I think what the industry which has really seen some major gains is the education technology industry, which has now come to become the Indian education technology industry has become the second largest industry um, uh, by edtech size across the world, which is only to say that we have just got started and it's only getting bigger. The figure says that, the education industry, the edtech industry itself will touch about $3.2 billion as an industry size. But, that's not the real question. The big question that today will come forward, particularly post-pandemic, as we are now heading towards the receding cycle of the pandemic, is that what are we looking at, or where are we really headed when it comes to the education industry? Are we looking at a digital divide of education, or are we looking at a digital collaboration of the education? And this is one question we are going to strongly take up during today's agenda of the Innovation in Education Conference, as we try to understand and decipher what would be the future of education. Now, understandably, the end goal is the same. The end goal is really for the students to be empowered with education. Now, the thing is, how can institutions, edtech companies, students, parents, teachers, how can they all be on the same page to meet this end goal is the real question. So the innovation may not necessarily be a matter of school versus screen, but it has to be school and screen for the benefit of the student. We all know that technology can bring things to scale. It can make things happen very fast, can take things across the corner. But I think the real thing that we are trying to achieve, whether it is through technology or whether it is through a school classroom, is personalization of education. How can the teacher, how can the student be more aware about his own learning standards? How can the student know that, he's able to, or she's able to grasp what they really came to look for from that education or from that edtech organization? And eventually everybody would need to be more data driven in order to understand what or how much gain has the student really made. So regardless of whether the student is being educated in a physical classroom or a digital classroom, it is about understanding how the student is really gaining his knowledge or access to knowledge is so access to knowledge is a lesser question today, and how he's going to really be a gainer of knowledge is the bigger question, and data is going to be a proving point for how the student is going to be far more educated and intelligent in the times to come. Now, not just the school student, but I think the education for adults, for education for graduates would also become a lifelong learning or a continuous activity. If we see ourselves in the job pool market, we see ourselves in the future of working, we need to today start understanding and appreciating that the skills that we started out with in college are not going to be sufficient to take us through 30, 40 years of our professional life. So therefore, continuous learning, continuous increasing our education standards, skill standards is going to be it's going to be a thing to do. And whether it's short courses or long courses, we are all going to have to sort of upgrade ourselves constantly. So I think what the national education policy also intends to do is really to see that this end goal is met and the technology becomes a big benefactor for this goal to be achieved in the right manner. So keeping in view this change of the education scenario that is now upon us today, I welcome you all to the Innovation in Education Conclave here today and the awards where we're going to recognize the young edtech companies and the institutions who are really the first change makers in this country and are doing some dynamic work in terms of trying to understand what is the course of education that will go in this digital age and how it can be best imparted to students. We would be having multiple sessions today during the long conference that we have planned here, which will go on till about 5:30. So to really understand how this entire scenario is going to be paved out. So we expect you as our delegates and as one of the important people in the education industry who've joined us today to be very interactive. Please ask questions, as many as you want. Please give your point of view in the question answer box that is provided on 6Connex to enable us to know you a little better and help us understand what is it that your burning questions are today for making a difference in the education industry. Personally, I am available on LinkedIn or at any point of time if you have any questions, while I'm going to be on this platform all day long. But if you have any questions, ideas to share, some topics to discuss, please ping me on LinkedIn, and I would love to answer some questions to all of you that you have in mind. So with that, I am also looking forward to our first session, on which we are going to sort of have Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe joining us shortly. We are looking forward to having him coming over in a little bit of time and helping us address what the real change in the higher education scenario is likely to be. So in just a couple of minutes, he is likely to be present with us and going to share with us as to what is the future of education and future of higher education, as we like to see.